And welcome to Incredibly Live.
What up?
What up? Happy Wednesday, my dude.
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
Happy Mutant Day. Happy Xmen Day.
Happy Wednesday after Mania.
Happy what the fuck is AEW thinking day. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. But this is not a wrestling podcast yet. This is a right now an X-Men fan podcast.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
there's some other things that if you wanted to touch on that happened outside of X-Men, that we could, talk about to fill the hour if need be.
Yeah.
But we usually are pretty good with this X-Men. So.
That's the unfortunate part about X-Men is that we can talk about it all day.
Well, yeah. Between us, yeah. No, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you could say luckily for me because working my job fucking sucks, but
I get it. It's all good. That's why we have now, right?
Right.
So welcome to Incredibly. I'm your host, Joey, joined by my other host, Uchi.
What's up?
3. Today we are here to talk about all things X-Men 97 episode 5. Remember it, which now after the episode, god damn. Bo is in there, pen on fire like Light Yagami, writing in the fucking death note, just going to town.
Yeah.
So spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about everything X-Men 97 episode 5, remember it related. This one is definitely one you don't want to be spoilered on, as Uchi told me this morning. He's like, man, do not go on socials.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Crystal, you haven't watched it?
She's actually watching it right now.
Oh, okay. Well, we can fill the time.
Well, she has us up. She can't hear yet.
Okay.
But yeah, because she still needs to watch episode 4. So
gotcha.
Fine. Yeah.
Well, Crystal, thank you for being here and supporting the pod anyway, or the show. We do this for y'all, But happy to be here. Happy Wednesday, not so happy Wednesday with everything that happened on the stream or happened in the show. Golly, what a fucking episode. So
heavy.
A very heavy episode. I have a little bit of a quick synopsis, quick not so quick synopsis to kind of get us into it, and then we'll gush.
Sounds good to me.
Before we get started. So today's episode of X-Men 97. Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit head to Genosha, where Magneto is invited to become the ruler of the nation. Wow, very cool. Congrats, Magneto.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jean, Scott, and Logan dive deeper into their weird love triangle, while Jean finally kisses Logan, and Scott is having a very strange telepathic affair with Madelyne Pryor, which is
crazy.
Yeah. There's so many love triangles going on. It's wonderful. Looking like a fucking geometry class.
Right.
Back on Genosha, Rogue and Gambit break up after Magneto asks Rogue to be his queen, basically. Later, during a ball, Madelyne and Cable reunite for the first time as adults, right before his untimely suck back into the future. And then a giant kaiju sentinel attacks all of Genosha. Magneto does his best to fight off the Sentinel, but inevitably goes down while protecting the Morlocks. And I'll save the very end for the very end, because golly, what an episode, dude. This show, I did not think that this show could get any better than it already was. I was like, every episode is like, this is great, this is peak, this is wonderful. I know last week we had a little bit of like a dip in quality with life death, which is okay. Not every episode can be the best episode ever. However, I don't think either of us were prepared for what we woke up to this morning with this episode.
I could tell you I wasn't. And usually, when you're like me watching it first thing in the morning, 6 a.m., 6:30, it's like, you're feeling a little groggy, you're tired. But when you watch something that has a lot of raw emotion, a lot of moving parts as well, like this was a very happening episode. Like there was a lot of things that was going on.
Long episode so far too. It's like 36 minutes, something like that. With the
I noticed that too. The runtime was a little longer than normal, which I definitely commend them for. I like how they didn't feel the pressure of being like restricted to keeping it to like 22 minutes, like a typical Saturday morning
Right.
cartoon or, whatever. So I, yeah, to say the least, I was not expecting what we saw.
Yeah.
And like I said in my reaction, this is the toll that we all have to pay for getting a very, very godlike show.
Yes. Yes, it
So,
is. Um, Kind of knew it was coming. The X-Men storyline is full of death, full of very, very bad situations. Yeah. Well, we've seen power death. We've seen kind of a lot of different kinds of death in this series. So this is unfortunately just kind of the life of the X-Men, losing powers, having to break up love triangles, start new love triangles, the whole works. Your son getting teleported to the future and then coming back to the future to warn you
and then getting
about the
sucked back
future.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So absolutely insane. There's just so many things in this episode that I just did not expect. Namely, the Jean and Logan moment. For one, absolutely caught me by surprise. I think Sarah was on her way out the door for work, and I like screamed. I was like, "No way! Did this just fucking happen? She kissed him! Oh my god!" Knew it was bound to happen eventually, just because their thing, but blew my mind to say the least. And then everything with Scott and Madelyne, Scott and Jean, the interviewer kind of digging deeper. Sorry, there's a car that just went by. That was my phone. The interviewer digging deeper into the personal lives of all the mutants and really kind of like breaking Cyclops, which is wild to me. Like he's been so strong and so staunch in his beliefs and everything. And then when he's getting like hammered by this and has to bring up what happened during the birth of Nathan, he just like falls apart. So couldn't have asked for a better episode, man.
Yeah, I mean, I go into these with a completely like open mind. Obviously because of the name, I at least expect it to be good.
Right.
And every episode has delivered. I wasn't ready for this. And funny enough, I don't know why I didn't anticipate this. And it's not something that we talked about where we were like expecting some sort of like mid-season finale type thing. I
Right.
didn't think that type of an episode would have been something that we saw in this. And that's fine. Like, but it's crazy because it still caught me off guard because I'm like, yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do something like that. But this definitely felt like a mid-season type of finale because of
Absolutely.
the weight of the episode and what happened in the episode. I mean, like we already mentioned like the word death because it's not just one character. There's a lot of characters that
There's
seem to die in this,
a lot of mutants.
which is crazy. And it's like this seems to be somewhat of a theme that I'm noticing. Maybe it's a pattern, but it's like the second as I say we as mutants, right? The second
Yes.
mutants get one step forward, it's like 2 to 3 steps back,
Yeah.
you know? Like they just get Genosha. It's like they have this whole island dedicated for mutants to live in peace, recognized by the UN, all this crap, and then they get fucking ambushed from the future, right? Like this tribunal ass Godzilla fucking
Yep.
master mold comes out of nowhere and ruins everything. And it was so crazy how and I like this show always catches me off guard, which is a good thing because like you always want to get you always want to feel like you're getting twisted and turned, with
Yeah.
with this. And they like so subtly made a reference to Nathan Cable. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if like that means we're gonna get to see him at some
Right.
point. And because
Well,
you
we
almost
did see him in the opening.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. Like,
Yeah.
you saw him, and
He
you're
was
like,
fighting
"Oh, shit."
Apocalypse.
Yeah, like, the intros are usually like, I don't wanna say that they're, like, spoilery, but they at least
Spoiler light.
yeah, spoiler light, they give you, like, a little tease as to what you could see potentially
Hmm.
because they've shown a lot of Professor X with
Yeah.
that, um,
Yes.
Lalandra, but
Yes,
we
they
haven't
have.
seen that yet.
Yeah, and then we saw I think last week we saw the Hellfire Club too in the intro, and then we saw this. So to and actually to start the episode, we got the intro, the previously on X-Men was spoken by who other than Gambit. And
Ugh,
last episode, it was spoken by Jubilee. So it's kind of like they're giving us these little teases at the start of everything.
mhm.
I have a list of what basically what happened in the intro. So we got Gambit did the previously on. Then we saw Cable fighting Apocalypse in Apocalypse's lair, which we've seen way back in the show. I think it's like season 2, season 3, something like that. Then we see Storm saving the Morlocks with her weird lightsaber John that she had in the sewers.
Yeah.
And then we saw Nightcrawler and Gambit fighting, which I believe was previously an episode. I believe it was the episode where Nightcrawler and Rogue find out that they're kind of siblings through Mystique. So, um,
Yeah, they're kinda like step siblings in a
yeah,
way.
which
Yeah.
is really cool to cool way to introduce, to I guess to reintroduce Nightcrawler because I know he's a massive fan favorite. So to have him back was really really cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see him, and the funny thing is, they tend to do this now where they'll have, like, preview images prior to the episode's
Yes.
release, and so I saw some people saying, like, "Watch this be fucking Morph again," right? And it wasn't, which is,
Yeah,
like,
thank
super
God.
cool, you know? It was
Yeah.
actually the genuine article.
Yeah, to have him back was really, really cool, because he kinda gave a comic relief, a weird monkey comic relief to everything,
Mm,
which is really nice, especially going into this because it was really like, even from start to finish was very heavy,
right.
because we're hot off the tails of Gambit seeing everything with Magneto and Rogue and kind of knowing that they don't know, but they don't know that he knows, kind of weird stuff going on. And you kind of see that when Gambit and Rogue are in the streets, and she mentions um, something about how this is everything that he said it would be, and Gambit's like, "Oh, the professor," and she's like, "Yeah, right," and it's just like your heart just breaks knowing that these secrets are being held. So um, everybody they arrive on the island, and we're greeted by who other than Madelyne Pryor right away. So it's good to see that she's getting put to work, or she's finding work, I guess, right away.
Yeah.
Even though it's on Genosha, which sorry, like that's pretty tough.
It is
Tough
pretty
draw.
insane that she's like that, and that's the impression that this show gives off a lot, or maybe it's because we're conditioned from other entertainment where it's
Yeah,
like when you see someone get written off, you don't expect to see them for a while, and
yeah.
then here they are. Like, it just
Two
adds
episodes
to the
later,
pacing of this show. It's
yeah,
like,
so quick.
yeah, bro, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, she is still Jean Grey in a way, so like I get it, but it's
Absolutely, she's a
also
clone.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But to have her back so fast was pretty wild.
yeah,
So let me take a step back. Everybody's being interviewed at the mansion. Trish Tilby, who in the comics is actually Beast's girlfriend. You can kind of see that they alluded to that in the opening where Beast is all dressed up, all nice and fancy with the suit and the ascot, and he's like blushing as he's talking to her.
yeah.
Adorable.
Blue still
Um,
blushes, my dear.
right?
I fucking love Beast. He's like one
Yeah,
of the best characters.
so good. He's all about the drama. He's such a drama queen, like all the theatrics and everything. It's so
His
fun.
quotes, that's what it
Yes,
is.
yes. Yes, yes, yes. So Trish is talking to all the mutants, talking about runaways and talking about people that feel that they are like distant from everybody and kind of what was the word that I had? Trish talking about mutants mentions runaway teens and that some are desperate to belong, which is basically everybody in the X-Men. You know, they're
Yeah.
all some kind of they don't belong. But then it's also cut with shots of Genosha, and you're seeing all these kids in Genosha, and they're all the teen runaways that don't belong, or they are, you know, just people that are trying to find their way. Like especially like the Morlocks who went from the sewers of New York or wherever, then ended up on Genosha and are now displaced in their own way. So um super interesting to draw parallels that far. I don't know what y'all are saying, but Jean kissed Logan.
Oh, so you got to that part now. Yep.
Congratulations, Crystal. It's the best part. That is the highest of the height of the show. It's only down from there, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we could talk more about it, but
Yeah,
finish the
we'll keep going. Yeah,
synopsis
yeah,
and
yeah.
then we'll go back
All right.
around.
So Trish talking to all the mutants kind of does a really good job of interviewing them, but then Rogue, Gambit, Magneto head to Genosha. They meet Nightcrawler, really cool, and the Council. Nightcrawler's there to be on the Council of Faith, which I thought was a really interesting way of bringing him in and giving him kind of a purpose to be there, rather than just like, oh, Nightcrawler's here now, thank you, like with the rest of basically all the other mutants, right?
Yeah.
Um, I already talked about they walked through town. Oh, we saw there's so many Easter eggs in this episode. I don't
There's always
know.
these a lot
I
of
don't
Easter eggs.
know nothing about X-Men as much as you or
The next,
anybody
like,
else. Yeah,
act yeah,
yeah,
no, I get
exactly.
it.
And so, but it was. I've seen them all in passing, or just like flipping through books, or just seeing TikToks, whatever about it. So it's really cool. I know that there's so many just for like the 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 mega fan of X-Men. So it's really nice to finally get that and to see kind of like more life in the show, and
Mm,
X-Men and mutants outside of just the core team, right?
yeah.
Um, so we actually saw a few. We saw Dazzler, we saw Multiple Man, we saw. I had a list.
So
There's
there's
on
so
my
the
list.
so those 2 are ones that I recognized. Shout
Yeah.
outs to Marvel Snap as always.
Yes.
And Pixie. Um,
Pixie. Yes.
yeah. Everybody else though, I was like, I don't know who none of y'all are, I'm not even gonna lie. But that's okay because there's a lot of
There's
mutants to
so
keep
many
track
mutants.
of.
Yeah.
So
So many mutants. Um, so as they're exploring, we're kind of getting cut back and forth between Trish talking about the mutants and mentioning everything going on back at the mansion. Let me see. Trish is talking to then we snap back. Trish is talking to Scott and actually calls her Marvel Girl, which I completely forgot that. I guess that's technically her name,
that was her original name. Yep.
original
From
name.
back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yep, and that's where Scott starts to unravel. I have the one quote. It's only partial to quote, but I lie because the truth is, or I lie because the truth is, we're nothing like you. Thank God, it's the only reason you people are still alive. So I love this like unraveling that's happening with Scott because it's kind of showing he's like maybe Professor wasn't right. Maybe Magneto is or was correct the whole time, and like he's kind of turning to this dark side, which I believe we see in the comics. I don't know, don't come at me, but I'm fairly certain we probably see it, um because we were talking about in earlier episodes about how Logan or Scott kind of abandons Madeline and Nathan in the show and kind of becomes distant from everybody, and you kind of see this now where he's just kind of breaking down. The man who is supposed to be this hero in this um leader of the X-Men is now falling apart and at the seams, and it's like his whole life is just crumbling around him because you had mentioned it earlier. It's like everything kind of seemed all happy, and then now it's not, and it's kind of like Scott had everything. He had the wife, he had the kid, he had the life. He was trying to figure out. He was basically the leader of the X-Men for a point there, and then one by one, everything is just getting plucked away. So God, and then moments later, shout out Crystal, we see Logan and Jean going through just some some of Jean's memories and trying to relive and kind of sort through her life and figure out her past.
Right.
And with Logan there, she just, I'm assuming, just comes overwhelmed with emotion and decides to plant a big old smoocher on him. And it popped me so hard. I was so yeah,
Yeah, like when thinking of thumbnails, that part was
yeah,
a contender.
yeah.
But obviously, when you get towards the end of the episode, you understand
There's
like,
so
yep,
many other
I
ones. Yeah,
think this needs to be that, you know?
yeah,
But yeah, that moment was a very interesting one to say the least
yeah,
because like this all but confirms all the things that we've been saying here, where it's like, yo, Jean actually cares about him too, but she's just being faithful to Scott.
yeah.
But
Exactly.
now that they're in a rocky situation,
Yep.
now she's like kind of leaning in towards the Logan feelings. But then even Logan, like I said on here that like he was definitely trying to scoop Pryor,
Yes.
but
Absolutely.
but now we're seeing his true nature in that even though at the opportunity to get the girl he loves, he still is like configured to the idea
Mm,
of this can't be real because the rule is you're with Scott and that's not me.
right.
Which is crazy because it's like, damn, you would have thought he would have been like, "All right, bub, let's get it." And
Yeah.
boom. But no, he was like, "Yeah, nah, this ain't it," which is crazy. And as my fiance says, trifling,
Trifling.
which is fucking funny. I'm not even gonna lie. But you
Yeah, it's
know,
it's so interesting how he's so willing to, like, disrespect and go against Scott in, like, every other capacity, but when it comes to Jean, he's like, "I gotta do it the right way. I gotta" he's almost being the Boy Scout in this way, because like, when she kisses him, you can tell he's taken back. He's like,
he is.
"I don't know if I want this."
Well, I mean, that's how you could tell like Logan has a good heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
he recognizes that there is a very strange like love triangle going on,
Yeah.
and like we could sit here and debate this or try to debunk this all day, but it's just like Scott is the most mind fucked of all of them,
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
think.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, and I kind of feel for this guy, and it goes hand in hand with this breaking down moment that he has during this interview because it's just like he doesn't know what to do with himself. He don't
Yeah.
know who's who, what's what.
Mhm.
The son that he had was with a clone of the girl he thought he was with, and because of that, it's like it's so different because it's not like it's the twin sister or like
Yeah.
a best friend.
Right.
Like this was the same person, but like she didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it makes it very convoluted and confusing. And that's how it makes sense to why he is all fucked up in the
Right.
head.
Yeah, and, like, you can't blame him, right? Like, well, how do you sympathize with somebody who just lost their child, who just basically lost their wife, you know? It's like, all that while assumingly just losing his only father figure, and Charles is now gone for however long, and his arch nemesis is here leading the X-Men,
Yeah,
while that was supposed to be his role, but then his whole life gets flipped turned upside down.
right.
So, God, shout out Cyclops. You're doing the best you can, buddy. I get it.
Yeah, I'll give him a little applause
Yeah,
right there, little hands.
it's tough. It's hard being a Summers, I guess. That's
Yo, it
just
no, it is. Look
yeah,
look at their family lineage. They're
yeah.
all sorts of messed up, man.
The Summers lineage is like guts. It's just
Ah,
suffering. There's not
terrible.
there's nothing
Yeah,
else.
no,
Life
it
is
is.
suffering for you.
Yeah, we just had an eclipse too, so shout outs to
We
that plug.
did. Yep. Um, so we see the kiss. Then we flashback to the war room in Genosha with Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost. Um, and they're trying to convince Magneto to be the ruler of Genosha, basically. He says, I will be ruler under one condition. That condition is that Rogue must be my queen. We'll come back to that in a second. So then we go back. We see and Jean, Scott and Jean sharing an intimate moment talking about baby Nathan. Only for the moment to actually be cut into by Gene saying, "Get out my man's mind, Madeline. What are you doing here? You want to talk
Yo,
about trifling?"
that part was crazy. I was like, "Wait a minute. If this shit is not memed on, like, people, like, trying to be, like, telepaths and being like,
Yeah,
'Yo, is
yeah,
my man cheating on me
yeah.
mentally?' type shit." Like, that is so funny, and I didn't even realize what was happening until I made the
Me
connection, like,
neither.
"Wait a minute. That's not Jean. It's
Yeah,
Madeline."
I was like, "Oh, maybe she like went back and like is sorting things out, and they're like having a heart to heart." And then all of a sudden, the illusion breaks, and Jean's there, just like, "Get the fuck out my man's head."
Yeah, and but the thing, like I think they explained it a little bit because it's like, because of how like messed up Scott is with this
Mhm.
whole situation, he still has a connection to the birth mother of
Yeah.
his child. So they explained it, I think, along the lines of like they still check in on each other
Right.
to make sure like they're good. And I guess that makes sense, especially when it's like you have a fucking kid
Right.
with somebody, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And
So
you don't know how long Madeline has been Jean, right? It's like
yeah.
this could have been the Jean that he's been married to. This could have been the Jean that was the Phoenix. This could have been however long, right? And so it's like it's hard to just give up that connection, especially when Jean proper is so distant.
You're
Like
right.
I get it. It's very tough. Like it's they're trying to have a good relationship, being good co-parents, right, to the baby that doesn't exist until the
Right
future.
in their time anymore.
Yeah, but like they're the only people that can kind of understand each other in this.
Exactly.
So I absolutely understand Gene's point. It's tough, but it's also like,
I understand all their points. That's what
yeah,
makes it really hard. It's like you
yep,
just you have to be completely neutral,
yeah,
right? You just have to have
hard,
your hands up, be like, "Dude, like, I don't know. Like this
yeah.
is
How do we
it's
get through this?
yeah, like I don't know."
All right, all that's happening. Meanwhile, some shit's going down on the island.
Yeah.
So Magneto asks Rogue to be his White Queen, I believe is what he asked. Um, and she basically is like, let me figure this out. Goes and talks to our boy Gambit, and he basically they basically break up, and it's like super sad to see Gambit like this because the boy has been struggling the entire time. And like they were dating, they're kind of like a are they aren't they kind of thing going on. But then Morph rubs it in a little bit, and seeing that they're in the danger room for hours on end
Oh, that was in the last episode.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hours on end in the danger room, and then we see them he sees Rogue walking out of Magneto's room. And now this. Now she's like, Magneto wants me to be his queen. This is what's happening. And then she spills the beans on all of their past together, which I thought
Yeah.
was really cool that we get to see
That
basically
lore dump.
them, huge lore dump of all their time spent in the Savage Lands together with Mystique learning from Magneto. And you kind of see, like, I guess I don't really, because I didn't watch the original show. Did we see a lot of like villain Rogue?
No, not at all. So like in the original show, we did get flashback scenes of Rogue essentially like with that one character, or it was Mystique, I think. It was
It's like,
like
yeah,
her mother or whatever, and then
yep.
like how she was like on a mission and she got Carol Danvers' powers, and that's how she was able to basically keep the flight and the super strength and
Oh, wow.
whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so that's the extent of it, but all this Savage Land stuff is pretty new as far as on screen goes.
Yeah. I think it was, from what I've seen, pretty comic accurate. Even the outfit was like the OG, the green with the yellow
Yes.
stripe, evil
Yes.
Rogue outfit. And then there's one of the Savage Land covers where Rogue is kind of like in the tattered cloths that
It's
she
the
has when,
yellow and green, yeah.
yeah, when she's watching Gambit, when she's watching Magneto paint using his mind, which fucking insane.
That was when that happened, I was like, "Bro, this is OD."
Yeah, like, how do you compete? You can't
Yeah.
compete at that point.
A
Sorry,
metal
sorry,
fucking
buddy.
brush
Yeah, metal brush, he can actually touch you. He's a genius.
and an
Sorry, buddy,
artist.
and an artist. And he wants to create an island for mutants in the future. Yep,
Guys goated.
yep.
What can you
Game
say?
over, sorry, bud.
Magnus.
Um, so then at that point, they basically split, and Gambit has a great line, if I can find it. What did he say?
Oh, it was like, "Love is deeper than the
It
feel," or
it
something like
goes
that?
deeper than I wrote it twice.
Something
What
along
did
those
she say?
lines.
Some things are deeper than skin,
Yeah.
which, wow. In the moment, you're like, "Oh, shit," like, that's pretty fucking deep. But then, fast forward a little bit to Rogue and Magneto make their grand debut at this, well, I'm assuming it's basically like the Hellfire Gala,
It's like
basically.
a gala, yeah.
Yeah. In or on Genosha. We see them share an embrace. They're doing like this crazy ass dance, really kind of showing. the island of Genosha, just how fucking powerful they are together. You know, because when Magneto's the only one that can touch Rogue
And
ever,
they was dancing.
they was touching, they was dancing.
Shit, let me tell
Yeah.
you.
And they share a kiss. First on-screen kiss.
In front of everybody
In
while they
front of
was grinding up Joey.
yes.
All right, let me ask you this
Hands
real
over
quick.
the head.
They was exotic. I was like, this a
Yeah.
kiss show still? Nah.
Yeah. No, not anymore.
Let me ask you this right here.
Okay.
Okay, because when I was watching this scene and the song that was playing, that was a little
Mm,
bop that was
yes.
going on in the background. The vibe that I got was very berserk like.
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to ask if you felt similarly because it's not that the song that they played was one to one, but I feel like that song is very reminiscent to moments in the 97 anime where shit was about to get real and you could
Mhm,
tell, and like it was the tone and everything. And through this, even though they were like having this very intimate, but in front of everybody, like type of moment, I felt the berserk vibes, and those
mhm.
are not good vibes.
Definitely not.
So I'm just like, oh my God, something bad is really about to
Yeah.
happen.
Well,
Did you get that feeling at all?
yeah, so what really set it off for me was seeing, The Watcher, shout out Watcher, um, and then,
We gotta talk
one
about that later.
when he shows up, bad things about to happen, right? And so, just this whole everything that was happening with the history of knowing Genosha, the song especially giving just, like, these some shit's about to go down, kinda like, Blade club song vibes where he just comes in and he just slices through everybody. Kind of what I was getting. So I I I wasn't getting Berserk vibes in the moment, but now that you mention it, absolutely.
Like, even, like, the lighting is what like, it
Yes.
was the lighting in
Yeah.
combination with that song. I was like, "Oh, no. This is not good." And
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even peep The Watcher until I went on Twitter afterwards.
Mm.
And like I said, we'll talk about that after.
Yeah,
Please
yeah, yeah.
continue.
I was gonna say, because we're on Berserk, it definitely like looking back at it, it kind of is giving me it's not one to one
No, not at all.
when but so like in the Golden Age arc films, when Griffith is like they save Griffith from the cell, and he's kind of just like in the carriage, just kind of like basically trying to kill himself. Um, and everybody's just kind of like living. Everybody's like, oh, everything is okay, like okay. And then Griffith then goes into the lake and unalives himself. It kind of had that kind of tension build to it because like before that happened, Guts and Casca are like hanging out. And I believe Griffith like sees them embrace or hears them through the cart somehow. And then anyway, we could ramble on about this forever. It was giving the same vibe. Like
Yeah.
I definitely there with you, which is fucking insane that the X-Men cartoon is giving us Berserk vibe.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Anyway, okay. So meanwhile, Madelyne gets a premonition. She gets basically shot in the head, which I was like, oh my god, Madeline's going down, only to find out that it's a vision.
Y
But what is the vision? The vision is basically the same thing that she had seen when she went into the brain of Gyrick, or she used the was it the mastermind, the helmet,
Oh, you talking about, wow.
Cerebro.
Cerebro, yeah, it
When she
is.
used Cerebro to get into Gyrick's head, it's the very similar vision as then where it's like the mass graves of presumably mutants with the master mold coming out of the ground. And then I believe there's a bunch of rats that are then seen afterwards. So it's kind of like the same thing, only to then hear Cable basically shouting, "Turn off the music! Shut off the music!" As he approaches, and they finally get to meet each other face to face for the first time. I don't know the time span between episodes, but basically since she left him to go with Bishop, right? And so this embrace is just like so sad, it's like it's bittersweet. So I think somebody said I was watching who was it watching Den of Nerds, and somebody said Happy Knife, I think, where it's kind of like or Happy Dagger, where it's like it sticks you and you feel good about it, but at the same time it hurts, right?
Right.
And so that they finally embrace, and he's like, "You need to like get out of here. Like, what's going on? Turn off the music." And she recognizes him by his eyes, by the brown eyes that Scott has. Um, Crystal said she just finished and she's not well. Yep, sorry, welcome.
Yeah. We haven't even got to that part yet. We're about to talk about it.
Yeah. So Cable's there, Madeline's there, super just sad. Like Cable's like, I'm too late. It just happened. And I want to talk about time travel in the X-Men universe, in the 97 universe. Because it's not kind of like time travel in the rest of Marvel as we know it.
It is not.
Um, and so it was really interesting to see Cable knowing, because he knows what happens, right? He knows Genosha gets nuked, basically, and is coming back and is seeing this and seeing his mom and knows his mom is about to die. Like he knows, presumably, we don't know if Madeline's dead. Who knows? Probably is. Um, he knows all this is about to happen and just gets whisked back away from his time travel device. Like, how did that make you feel in that moment? Because that was just like heart wrenching for me.
Dude, that was like the first indicator of like, oh my God, like we are about to be into some shit right
Yeah.
now. It was really cool to see Cable for those like 30 seconds,
Right.
but like I feel like when a character like that shows up, that should just be an indicator as to, oh my God, this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that he got pulled back to his
Right.
time, oh, like he was there to try to give a warning or to basically help out on some Terminator type shit,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen. Like his device or whatever, like it would like his time ran out. Like that part, I'd have to like listen back to hear what his device was actually saying. But it was you get context. You could tell like
Yeah.
okay, like
Something was about to happen. I need to go. Yeah.
uh,
So, but it was cool to see Cable again. It was very heartfelt moment for Madeline to actually be able to talk with him, see him, know that he survives.
right. He
Because I
called her
guess,
mom.
yep. I think he said, "I'm sorry, mom."
Yep.
I
He's
think
like, I'm
that's what he
sorry,
said.
mom.
Yep, and then drifts back away. Um, so as soon as that happens, this crazy ass kaiju master mold sentinel pops out of the ground. It's like a fucking three-headed cockroach sentinel just comes and bursts into the scene.
Insane.
A little different from master mold, but I think like I don't know, man. This is just how I see it. If you if you're gonna build an island nation for mutants on top of the place that your arch nemesis was invented on, and not do a good sweep of the grounds. You
Where's
build a
that
whole nation
cleanup
on it.
at?
Where's the cleanup? How did you not know that this massive ass sentinel was living underground? Anyway, neither here nor there.
Mm.
Um, the kaiju sentinel begins to attack. Magneto goes hard as hell with a sick train whip, attacking the sentinel. During all this chaos, the statue of Charles falls and kills a bunch of mutants in the process. Magneto is trying to protect as many people as he can. He goes and tries to save the Morlocks, but in attempting to save the Morlocks, basically is gunned down by the Sentinel, which then causes Rogue to kind of go into a frenzy. Um, Gambit then stops Rogue, and this is the saddest part of the entire episode. So Gambit saves Rogue from potentially going and killing herself.
Chucked his whole motorcycle at her to do it.
Blew up a whole motorcycle at her and sacrificed himself for basically all of mutant kind. Went in one of the coolest combat sequences I've ever seen. Him
Yeah.
traversing up the rubble to only get stabbed in the side, but then using his kinetic powers to blow up the kaiju sentinel was probably one of the coolest acts of selflessness I think I've ever seen in animation
It
ever.
was very fucking cool.
Yeah.
It was like one of the highest ways to go out
Yeah,
and it was so epic. It felt very anime. I'm not gonna lie.
absolutely.
This show, like I'm telling you, the animators, they are all anime fans, and they
100%.
have injected things that they have seen and experienced into this show. And dude, it's beautiful. And the line that he says at the end, he's like, "The name's Gambit. Remember it." That shit,
Remember it.
like, yo, when they use the title of the fucking episode within the episode, man, that's how you know this shit was crazy. But I honestly, like, the entire time, I was not expecting to have a big character death
Oh my
to
god,
happen.
absolutely not.
It seemed, I'm not gonna lie, it did seem like Magneto was gonna die.
Well, we don't know.
Nah, he's not dead. There's no way.
He didn't die on screen. But
He's not
I
dead.
I for as many people as there were that died in this episode, Gambit was not the one I expected to go
That's what I'm saying,
at all.
dude. That's literally what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it was a tragic death, especially when Rogue ran over to him in tears, holding him,
Yes.
and says she couldn't feel him.
I I can't feel you. Oh my god. I cried. I actually cried. It's there has never been a outside of, like, anime, because I've cried a lot to anime, there's not been any kind of American animation, comic book kinda thing that has hit me on this level
Yeah,
in a very long time. I
yeah,
know we talk about Berserk. Berserk hits me, but in a different way.
yeah.
X-Men '97, this is like I've said it before, I'm not the biggest X-Men fan. I
Now
am
you
now
are.
an X-Men fan for life after this episode. I don't it's like, how do you top this, you know? You lose a core member of the team, potentially lose Rogue. I don't we don't know what's gonna happen with her after this, right? Magneto's most likely going to now go full evil, so it's gonna be the small team that we have left of Beast, Scott, Jean, Logan, Morph, potentially Storm if next episode she gets her powers back, against the world, basically. Um, and that was it. That's just the end of the episode. It ends with I can't feel you. Oh my god.
That and then it shit went it fade to black,
It
and I
fade
was
to
like,
black. Yeah. I laugh because I don't know how to process the emotion because it's so just sad, right?
Crystal said Rogue might go rogue. I know I would. That's a
For
good
real.
one right
Yeah,
there.
for real. If I was Rogue, I'd probably try to go find Storm. I think that's what I would do. But
Man,
she's also on Genosha in the middle of it's going to be all this cleanup happening, and I'm sure Rogue or Storm's going to hear about it somehow, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, because we see all the X-Men in the mansion staring at the TV as it's all happening, just feeling so powerless. Um, yeah, I'm speechless for like as good as this episode was. That alone just left me speechless. There's also another thing I wanted to point out that when Magneto is protecting the Morlocks, protecting what is his name, Leech, and he says, "Do not be afraid" in his mother language of German. Just oh my goodness, just all the beats that this show has hit, all the levels that it's hit, nothing comes close. I
Yeah.
just hope it's shades of what's to come for Marvel. That's what I'll say.
Yo, this show, we say it time and time again, is godlike.
Mhm.
This is a blueprint to how to make a compelling series.
Yes.
This is like a masterclass, if you will. Like, we are 5 episodes in, and this shit has people fucked up
Yeah.
in the feels, and we have 5 more to go.
Yep.
This right here is how you do cinema the right way,
Mm.
okay? It's the truth
Yeah.
because, like, I do feel like they're gonna have this show as the purest of examples going forward before they decide to take on any project or produce
Oh, I
any
fucking hope
project
so. Yeah.
Like Kevin Feige, whoever it is that has an idea of what they want to do next, especially in the animated category, they're gonna be like, okay, put on the blackboard. You see this X-Men 97? It better be as good or better than
Right.
this. If it's even right under, don't even bother making it.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
It is truth.
That's the kind of quality that people want, that people need, and that is how this industry flourishes. This is how the genre
Yeah.
flourishes. This is what is needed to happen. And 5 episodes in, like I said, I I'm like now I'm at a point where it's like, bro, I'm like almost scared
Right.
going
What's gonna happen
forward.
next?
Yeah, like the thing with Rogue now, it's like if she goes rogue, I can see it happening.
Mhm.
And it's also wild because like, I'm trying to be more on my comics nowadays,
Yeah.
and I need to finish or to continue reading Uncanny Avengers. But bro, she's on that team. And
Mm.
she like Cap, you would expect, oh yeah, it's Cap, he's
Right.
the leader of the
Yeah,
Avengers.
yeah,
But
yeah.
bro, by issue 2, she takes over.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Of
So,
all people.
yeah. But hey, it just goes to show you like X-Men breed leaders of all
It's
of
true.
all kinds.
It's true. Thank you,
They
Charles.
breed characters that you wanna love and care about, and you wanna see more of.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, we could tell that they are essentially priming us to be, I guess, more accepting of the idea that the original X-Men team will not exist. Like, we
Interesting.
No, think about it.
Yeah.
Go back to the first episode. They've been dropping teases ever since the beginning of this new series. And as we progress, more pieces have been ejected or
Right.
removed or misplaced, or this one has no powers. This one's dead. You know what I'm saying? Like this one is having a series on Maury and Jerry Springer. Like who's the father?
Divorce court.
Like divorce court. Like they have
Yeah.
all this shit going on. And it's like, X-Men is known to have mad characters, but
Yes.
this main team right now is not looking so, like, good, and rightfully so. Even if we were to predict, like, they're gonna have this big hurrah moment, everyone's back again once again as the team,
Right.
and, like, they're fighting whoever, and they have that one final thing, it's not gonna be the original squad anymore.
It can't be.
No, like, I imagine Storm will get her powers back.
Yeah.
But, like, Gambit's not even there. They can't
Right.
bring him back. He's dead. And, like, we haven't like, I'm sure Magneto's still gonna be alive. I'm sure he'll be
Yeah.
okay. But it's just it's just not gonna be the same, and I feel like there's gonna be some positions filled in and then some going forward leading into
No, I
whatever
agree.
comes next, so
So do you think we're gonna get like New Mutants, X Factor, X Force?
yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, a certain
Do you think it's just gonna
thing.
be X-Men new team, new roster?
Right, like,
Yeah.
and
Sunspot,
yeah, and they
whoever
could
else.
and they could if they wanted to, like, continue with adopting things that have happened in comics, which is
Mhm.
obviously what happens all the time, like, they could end up calling that new team Uncanny X-Men, or
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Because it's like, this is a brand new squad going forward if they decide to do that. However, I'm sure that there are gonna be some familiar. Like, I don't think the entirety of the team is gonna be, like,
Oh,
kinda, like,
no.
spread like the Dragon Balls. Like, I could see Beast sticking around, I could see Wolverine sticking around, Professor X might still be there when he
Yeah.
eventually comes back, but it's really, like, characters like Rogue and Jean Grey and Cyclops is, like, kind of up in the air, we don't really know what's going on. Jubilee's gonna
Right.
obviously stay because she's young, Sunspot's already there, he's getting set up to, do that, and then it's whoever decides to fill in those voids, like, we just don't know yet, and the
Right.
possibilities are endless, and dude, we haven't even seen any crossovers yet. Like,
That's
where's
true.
Spider-Man? Where's the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four at? Like, where are any of these other characters that exist in universe?
Mhm.
So, It's exciting.
Yeah. Future is unwritten, except for the fact that season 2 is actually written and is basically done. So,
Yeah, so we'll see.
I'm very excited for it. All right, let me see. Was there anything else that we missed that you want to talk about that you can think of?
I do want to put this out there, and you can mark this right now.
All right, marking it.
When everybody came at me trying to correct me and saying that this is not MCU related,
Mm.
do not sleep on me and my fucking predictions, okay? Because I don't,
Does the Watcher being in 97 confirm it as MCU canon?
bro, like I'm trying to say, I don't like, I said this before too. X-Men 97 can exist where it's at, continuing off of where they left off with the original animated series just fine.
Yeah.
The how they handle time and all that shit, that can all happen just fine. Everything can stay intact. All it's gonna take is one little thing to happen for it to be considered a part of the MCU. They can tell us verbatim, "Oh no, this is its own thing right now. This
Mhm.
is its own thing." However way they want to phrase it, fine. But it's the suspension of disbelief or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they threw in the Watcher on some what if type shit,
Mhm.
and we already got confirmation that season 3 of What If will feature X-Men
Yep.
characters. I don't understand how anybody with half of a brain can honestly think that in today's time and how Marvel Studios has been handling all their projects, they clearly want everything to exist in the same umbrella at
Yeah.
the very least. And look at Deadpool Wolverine. All they needed to do is what? TVA.
Yep. Easy.
Done.
Well,
That explains everything.
I don't know if you saw, but it's basically confirmed that Fantastic Four is happening in a different universe as well
Exactly, and we've
within the
talked about
MCU.
that on here too, in
Yeah.
great length, I feel like. And that much is obvious because it's like, if we know that the heavy speculation and belief among all fans is that we are going towards an Avengers versus X-Men situation so that
Mhm.
this big incursion can take place, how the fuck are we gonna get there if we don't have threats that exist out there in the multiverse
Right.
that can wipe out not just worlds, but universes? And if an incursion is supposed to happen, so that way they can essentially have its first rebooted like phase going forward into the far future, then something like that's going to have to happen. And if they want X-Men, which they do, to be included, they want Fantastic Four to be included.
Right.
They're doing it in such a way where it's effective, it's entertaining, it's hella smart, and it doesn't take away from the integrity that those original works have already had,
Absolutely.
what they already established. And so that's why I'm like, yo, they don't need to come out the woodwork saying, oh, yeah, it's MCU automatic. Sure, they can leave that shit to be a surprise. They can throw the little teases in there. But trust me, the Watcher's the first key.
Mhm.
Honestly, that's all I needed to see.
Yep.
Not that I needed to see it because I'm like, bro, if the freaking TVA is showing up in a Deadpool movie,
Yeah, that shit can show up anywhere.
the animated series, it's way easier to do shit with animated series. Now
Absolutely.
it's just the fact now is that it's X-Men off of the original animated series.
Right.
So it's like they're taking something that's so godlike and so loved, and now it's like this is the shiny thing that we wanted, and they're making it even more glossy,
Yep.
shiny, like think that if this is not gonna be MCU, me being nice, you're silly because it's going to be. It's inevitable. It's happening.
Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties on my end. It distracted me, but hey, man, if we're getting X-Men in season 3 of What If, and that's coming out, I think we have a thought we had a date. Let me see if I can find some confirmation on that. Um, season
What, season 2? I don't
3,
know if there's a date yet for that.
What If season 3.
Oh, oh, oh. Is that this year?
Something tells me it'll probably be end of. Oh well, we got. When did we get season 2? That
At
was
the it
Christmas.
at the end, yeah, it started at the end of last year into
Yeah,
this year.
something tells me we're gonna get it this year. Probably end of this year. Who knows? I know.
Bill Marvel for the therapy
Yo, for real.
for all this craziness. Yeah,
That's what I
man,
was
like
saying. I was gonna build Disney for what happened to me today, please.
facts. Yeah.
um, I want to say I know that they had the Eyes of Wakanda series planned. Something I feel like I saw somewhere that got scrapped.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
shame. You
but does that mean that it got? Let me see. It did not get scrapped. We're good.
nice, perfect. And
Yeah,
yo, he's getting Black Panther's getting 2 games.
he's getting mega
It's
love.
fucking awesome. I
Yeah,
can't wait to play those
yeah,
Jones.
cool. Um, awesome. I think that pretty much touched on everything.
Yeah.
Were there any Easter eggs that you noticed that we didn't talk about? I don't really think there was too many that
Just the Watcher
outside
thing,
of
to
like
be honest.
1,000 different X-Men that showed up or mutants that showed up in the
Right.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Emma Frost catching the little love shit happening between Madelyne and Scott was pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, she peeped that. That was funny because
Mhm.
I forget she's also a telepath, which is
Yep.
nuts.
And her and Scott had a thing after Jean had passed away one of the multiple times that she
What,
passed
in
away
the
in the comics.
comics?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty interesting. Pretty cool to see Emma Frost back. Do you have predictions for what's to come? Because I have like one that I'm thinking.
Shoot, go ahead.
So my prediction is that obviously Storm's gonna get her powers back because you can't have X-Men without Storm. Right. Easy. Magneto's obviously not dead, but I think we're gonna have a Magneto versus the world kind of situation happening the
Oh, that
last 3
helmet's going back
episode.
on. We're
Yeah,
getting that shit.
but
Yep.
that's when Charles is gonna come back and lead the X-Men and be back again once again to
Nice.
save the world is what I'm thinking against
I like
Magneto.
that.
But in how the story is written, it's just not going to be that black and white, right? So it's going to be very,
Yeah.
very interesting, very intense to see what happens and to see who's going to die because people are absolutely going to die. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
who knows? And I'm excited to see more Sinister as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see more of him
Yeah,
as well. Um, I don't really have like, honestly, it's very hard to predict what can happen next right now because of
literally.
yeah, because of how they pace this show so dope and, like, how each episode it picks up at another point,
Yeah,
you know, from another perspective and all that. Like, last week was a fun one. This one, they went right back to business and being serious.
yes, they did.
But what I will say is that in this episode, another godlike moment that took place is that we now have confirmation that Magneto is an omega level
Yes,
mutant, and
yes,
that's
sir.
fire.
Yes, sir. Whilst protecting the Morlocks too. It's incredible. What a
Yo,
guy.
imagine, yo, that's probably one of the best alerts you can ever hear. Omega level mutant detected.
And we only know 2. Storm coming through the desert, getting that awesome introduction. It's like the fucking ring announcer.
Oh my
And in this
god.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was crazy. And what a way to go out too,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out
Facts.
Magneto. Thank you,
Yes.
Magnus. Thank you, Eric.
Omega level threat detected. That should be a text alert.
Right? When your mom's calling. Oh shit.
That's a good one.
Right? Um, cool. Was there any other news that came out? I don't think
Well,
there's any. You
The
got
one
news.
honestly, the one thing to really just mention before we wrap things up here is just to quickly say that RDJ is coming back to the MCU.
Absolutely.
There, like, if you didn't believe before, if you didn't believe in what I'd like to call the popularity theory, even if you die, if you got stock,
Yeah,
eventually they will bring your ass back.
absolutely.
100%.
Especially somebody like RDJ. Like if he's like, "Yeah, I wanna come back," the dude that built your castle for you,
Facts.
the guy that built the kingdom, like, you
Come
don't
on.
say no to that. Yeah.
You don't.
Especially in, like, a Secret Wars scenario where fucking anything can happen, right? Yeah.
Like, we are living in a world now where the superhero genre is about to have another booming period.
A renaissance.
Mark my fucking words. All the people that was shitting, hating, sleeping, being like, "Oh, there's too much." Well, guess the fuck what? Marvel is getting into gear. They're shifting into turbo. They're buckling up because it's time. Everybody is gonna be put on notice. The box office,
Mhm.
get ready for them shits to be busted open, broken. Like there's not gonna be shit left. They're gonna
Mhm.
make so much money that people are gonna lose their minds wanting a Secret Wars 2 6 months later on
Right.
some head assery shit
Yep.
like that. I'm telling you right now, the fact that this guy went out of his way to literally put out there in the fucking universe, Tony Stark is embedded in me. Of course, I would love to come back.
Sign the
Kevin, write the
check.
check.
Write the
Write the
check.
check. What are we doing? Like, we know it's going to happen. We
Yeah.
know it's going to happen. For people like my brother who literally dropped everything MCU because his
Yeah.
favorite Tony Stark died. And
Yeah.
I literally was like, bro, don't worry. One day he will be back because there's a lot of people that's butthurt like you to this day
Mhm. Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
waiting. And he's going to come back. Trust. Trust. But it's like people got to, let things cook
Yes.
and, marinate,
Yep.
simmer,
Especially now
like
that they're focusing less on quantity, more on quality, it's
exactly.
bound to happen.
And
How do
guess
you how
what?
do you get more asses in seats? Bring back the reason the asses were in the seats.
You bring them back and then some because
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now so that way it can go on our
All
socials,
right, sounds
right?
good. Yeah.
We had an amazing, life-changing dream moment take place in having the 3 Spider-Man characters
Mhm.
appear on our silver screens in front of us. It was a dream come true. I go on to even argue that this tops or rivals, at least goes head to head with the Endgame moment. It's controversial, but I said what I said.
Yeah.
The only way you top all of that is when you have Iron Man,
Mm,
Wolverine,
mm.
and Spider-Man. And I'm talking Toby, Hugh, and Robert Downey Jr. on the same fucking pedestal. And that's when they make $1 trillion. Fuck out of here. I'm not playing around. This shit is
Yeah,
like
it's true.
people are gonna lose their minds.
That's the
That's
fucking
gonna
moment.
make
Yeah.
all of us go crazy. All of us are gonna be in tears because when we saw Toby, we saw Andrew. Oh my god, it's gonna be like that, but amplified to 1,000. You guys don't understand. When it finally fucking happens, nah,
Game
they're gonna
over.
need to put theaters on Mars because the planet here is gonna go crazy. Shit.
Fucking speak to him. Preach. It's true. It's
It
damn
is.
true.
I know, mark it right
Yeah.
here. Y'all
Yeah.
heard it here first on Incredibly.
Chris was here
At,
and the 4 viewers with us.
at 70 subscribers.
At
You'll
70
see.
subscribers. Let me check. I don't think anybody subscribed during the show. If you subscribed during the show, let me know. Let's see. Did we get any? No, that's okay. Because once this gets out to the public, we'll be at 1 trillion subscribers. Yeah.
When Kevin Feige sees this shit, look,
Yeah.
you're the fucking man. You are our guy. We here at Incredibly trust the process.
Yeah.
I have not complained, whined, nothing
This is
about
true.
about You could go back on all the episodes. I've been the one that's vouching out for
You-
Marvel, being like, yo, guys, relax.
Marvel Stan Deluxe.
Yeah, I don't even care. Call me the Stan, whatever. I don't give a shit because I believe and trust the process. And now that we got the X-Men 97, we got Deadpool Wolverine, the only solo fucking studio movie that's coming out this year. You know how big Disney balls are right now for that? Come on, son. They said, I don't need no other movie this year. We don't, because this shit is gonna go crazy. You'll see. You will see. And next year, Fantastic Four, they're gonna be like, oh man, oh, I was always a fan of Fantastic. No, shut the fuck up. No, you wasn't.
That one feels personal.
Yeah.
That was
You know
personal.
it's personal for me. I'm gonna come at my whole entire family for that shit. You'll see. I'm gonna be like, how many times you see that shit? Stop lying. You know you saw it twice at least. Fuck out of here. You see Galactus destroy the universe and then encourage. Come on. This is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is gonna be great. Well, on that note,
I was about to say that too, in case you didn't.
Marvel's so hot right now, it's not even funny. So it's a good time to be a Marvel fan. Secret War is gonna pop off. Deadpool's gonna pop off. What's crazy is that this shit's gonna end, and then Deadpool's gonna come out like a month and a half later. So we got a little bit of a lull that we're gonna have to fill some time with. We'll figure something out. Play some games maybe. I think Midnight Suns was free on PSN, so I downloaded that shit. Maybe we'll play that shit on stream. But,
Oh, it's free. I hold on.
yeah,
Let me
if
let
you
me
got-
add
if
it
you
to
got
my
PSN,
library because
yeah.
I don't like those types of games. But if it's free, I'll
Yeah,
add it.
I wasn't gonna pay fucking $70 for that shit.
Hell no.
I'll pay $0 for that.
No offense to Midnight Suns, but I'm just not a strategy type.
Yeah, the
gamer.
card-based games. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, it looks like that's all the time we have for the day.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bo DeMaio for creating this series. I really hope that whatever you did was not that bad. I'm sure it probably was absolutely terrible, and that's why you got fired. But man, if
He
Kevin
must have
Feige,
done fucking
he must
crazy.
have done some shit. Hopefully Kevin Feige believes in second chances. Maybe he could get James Gunn back into the fold for season 3, or even to help out with literally anything else. Because if you can help out with the live actions, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody to help out with the writing would be wonderful. So, make sure to check our socials. Check the links in the description down below. If you haven't already liked the video and you are here, please make sure to like the video. Put a poll up to remind you to like the video, because that's important for us. All the fun metrics, you know. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. We just hit 70 today.
Let's go.
We gained 20 in less than a month. So
Hey, man.
literally tripled. Nope. We gained 1/3 of our followers in the last month. So
Only up from here. Let's keep getting it. Let's go.
only up. We're about to be levels above where we were before. Tune in next week to our wrestling podcast where we shit on Tony Khan all night. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. I've been Joey.
Uchi. I'm out here.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. We will catch you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Hey,